Yes, your kitties are very happy. Hi, hello, and welcome to the formerly the Curmudgeon's Corner. Apparently, there is another Curmudgeon's Corner that literally the only difference is an apostrophe between the two. So we have decided that uh,
We're pivoting.
pivoting. Hi, hello, and welcome to the far side. I'm your host, your high priest for the day, you could say. My name is Austin. This here is Tyler,
How's it going?
co-host extraordinaire. Some would call him Thighman. Some call him Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm the man, the myth. I'm the TIE fighter.
did you make up a nickname for yourself again,
No,
or has
actually,
someone
I had
actually
that one.
called you a Tie Fighter? Was that like your frat nickname?
No, actually, it was like back when I used to go over to like my best friend's house. When we used to play video games, like they would always like joke like, "Oh, it's the TIE fighters coming in right now, coming in hot on Call of Duty or Halo."
Especially back in the days when they had the shit, what was it? The Banshee in Halo.
Oh, yeah, dude, just ram
Yeah,
people over, dude.
cruising
Split screen. It'd be actually kind of fun now to like have a console where you can like, hey, I can have four people play at once, and it's not just like basically like Super Smash Brothers style, where it's like expanding screen, just like depends how close
in.
you are. Kind of like
Yeah,
those knockoff games.
yeah.
Yeah,
All the little games.
yeah.
You're a little game.
They call it mini game. I
Mini
prefer
game.
that term. That's a PMC.
PMC, private military contractors.
Actually, no, I just made it the acronym. I had that following up, but then I was trying to think of something.
Brilliant.
Player, multiplayer, class. New term. We're starting.
Public minority complex.
That one sounds like it's critical.
Somehow could be applied to the LA riots. Speaking of, I went and checked them out right around curfew. The protests, riots.
Nice. How were they? Did you see a bunch of cars on fire?
I did not. I didn't really see any of that. I had a dentist appointment and another doctor in West Hollywood, and or not West Hollywood, West Side. So it's just like, hey, I can get dinner. It's going to take me 2.5 hours to drive back down here,
Yeah.
or I can just get some food, get some work done, and yeah, just check out the riots, get some content. I threw my GoPro in the backpack just in case. So went and just wanted to do a little filming, see what it was like
Yeah.
right around curfew time because it took me a dog's age to get out there.
Yeah.
And when I circled around, so like I parked my car in Little Tokyo where there was a bunch of people protesting 2 nights ago, I believe. And there was a bunch of F ice. We're still in the first few minutes, so I don't want to hurt our numbers too
Yep,
bad
we
in
understand.
algorithmic growth. A lot of F ice, a lot of F Trump, just badly scrawled graffiti that I don't know. So I came away with a couple things, and I will say them up front so that and then I will explain later. So, or I guess three things. Um, Third thing was just over the last few days watching all the footage. It is impressive to me the amount of people who like when January 6th happened were like, hey, those were mostly peaceful protesters. There were just some knuckleheads that got carried away and stormed the Capitol. And then with the left and say these protests here, it's like then the Democrats are just a lot of the other side of the people who were like those all those people are armed insurrectionists. Da, da, da. They're like, hey, it's mostly peaceful protests, but some people just get carried away.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, both are true. And then it's funny how both parties just sort of weaponize both things being true. And yeah. Uh, but the sorry.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say too. It's kind of for like some comparisons. It's kind of hard because you can also bring into the fact like sports riots.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
those are some of the most destructive lies, and they'll have random looting going on and everything. Sometimes there's just people just want the excuse to go out and just smash things in a big crowd, and usually it doesn't happen just out of thin air because you're going to get arrested.
Fourth thing you could say I'm taking away from this. Um, yes, very much so. And when I was out at the like protest line where the police were, because I just looped around from Little Tokyo to City Hall, there were multiple little like squads of police, probably a dozen each, on either side of the street, north and south of the little protesting block, and maybe 80 to 100 protesters. There were some people going around that were like, well, let me rewind real fast. We're creating hooks here because we're learning how to podcast and make this interesting for ourselves and for you guys. So the way that they took the like animosity of the crowd and kind of like worked it through different areas to sort of like create places where people would just mess up the police stuff versus rioting and damaging like property and businesses as much.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of like they're trying to herd this mastodon because it's not really like people have been calling they turned LA into a war zone. Not quite. Like it's not a war zone. I get frustrated with that comparison.
No, and in a lot of cases, like the stuff happening in LA is like super tame compared to like the Rodney King riots, and super tame even compared to January 6th, LA Watts. But I mean, LA occasionally just wants to become on fire and pops off. Hey, we had it like what was it in the fall when the Palisades fire was going on?
Oh yeah, there was looting. There's even a conspiracy theory around that one that some of them or the fires might have been accelerated by cartels or some sort of burglary group, which we actually have like personal experience maybe with one of these groups. So
go on.
For the
you know what you're talking about.
For the audience, quick tangent. There are South American organized gangs that they're not necessarily cartels. They might be cartel affiliated in the more like classic narcotic sense, but these are specifically like almost gentleman burglars in a way, where they might be armed, but they know, hey, if you take a guy, young man, look like he's a working age dude, and you can send him basically through the border. It's really easy right now. Or back when this happened, this is many years ago at this point. And I guess it wasn't that long ago, but it was still long enough. Speaking of the pandemic, and they will send guys after like a 6-month, 9-month basically training course up to go run like cat burglary all throughout Southern California and potentially Northern California. And if they get caught, they, if they're not being violent or anything, they generally get like cited, their name or whatever identification they have is put down, and then they're shipped back to Chile or Colombia. I think those are the two main places. I've heard Haiti is another one.
I've been really surprised about Haiti because they can't even really have an international airport really to keep going out of that isn't like government or military.
Good point. Could be.
I have heard about Chilean, Peruvian, and like kind of some like South Americans being able to like come to California, do these robberies, knowing that it's not like going in like some parts of the South where like they could probably get shot. They're going to like the richest people's houses to take from. Which is smart, so I can understand where your conspiracy is coming from, right? Because you're implying that they started setting the fires to go forth so that they could get ahead in the evacuated areas and start looting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that way they're not coming into contact with people. They can go through a very wealthy area where people are not so wealthy that they'll have tons of stuff in banks, or they'll have security that might like push people out, or have enough fire suppression systems surrounding their houses that like, these uber wealthy celebrities that actually live up on the hills. I'm sure a lot of them have some sort of fire suppression system that's built in. Maybe not. Who knows? But the Palisades, not the same. And same with like everything that got lit. You run in and leave.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of makes sense. I mean, I'm always going to ask, like, what proof or what evidence is there out there that this is happening? But I can also see it just happening in general, because I do know that some people on the news were arrested for doing that exact thing.
Yeah.
I would be very interested to see if there was like an organized crime doing it, because that would make it a lot more interesting. And I guess I want to call it.
Or not necessarily doing it, but taking advantage of it. Yeah. And that kind of thematically ties in with one of the things I took away from the riots, or the protests/riots, because it's not correct to say that there's no rioting. There's definitely people being crazy, but also most of the people are being pretty peaceful.
Yeah.
They're being obstructive, certainly, and that's annoying. And I think if you want to get Los Angeles particularly on your side, people that are your everyday working person that doesn't necessarily have a dog in this immigration fight.
One of our neighbors is just cheering. I wonder if the Oilers just scored a goal.
Pulled away some like last second goal.
I mean, I kind of
cinching this game 4.
I'm kind of rooting for Canada on this one.
I want Canada.
And also, Florida's won too many times for hockey. Someone else got to take a win.
Well, like, our uncle's a huge Oilers fan.
Yeah.
He was wearing the Oilers thing at the games. Like, at both the Ducks and the Kings game, they were shitting on him. They were being quite mean. There were a couple guys that were just like, "The fuck are you wearing an Oilers jersey for? Get out of here." It's like, okay, dude.
That's just Kings fans. Yeah, no, when we went to go see both the games with him,
to his credit, he just totally ignored him.
Well, what else? I mean, it's hockey. There's going to be so much chirping going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really for me known for, like...
Hockey fans love to chirp.
Oh, yeah, they do. The key is just when you're above maybe, I don't know, 35, you shouldn't just be getting to fights at sports games.
Oh, these were like red-faced dudes in their 50s. Like, they very much
young, like, I guess. Go for it.
They very much had like, single, way too long male energy.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the energy I do not want to get towards. I want to be far away from that. It's even worse. No,
it's starting to scare me. I'm 34 now. I'm officially a middle-aged man.
No, you're not.
Yes,
dude,
I
with
am.
technology today, you are definitely you're farther away from that. But you have,
dude,
it's a few more years.
I had to get something fucking biopsied in my throat because I might have throat cancer, maybe. Knock on wood, I don't think I do. I hope I don't go the way of Michael Douglas. That wouldn't be fun.
No, you gotta do something cool. Like, did Evel Knievel die doing stunts?
No. Michael Douglas is still alive. He got throat cancer from cunnilingus.
Oh,
you can literally get throat cancer from cunnilingus.
Yeah, HPV.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get cancer.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I would get it.
That's kind of a cool way to get it. You're like, how'd you get it? Were you just a heavy smoker? No. I just used to really love pussy. Or dick. No judgment.
No, it's almost like specifically cunnilingus, I think. Actually, no, I think, you can. I don't know. That would be something we would have to look up, but the computer is far away unless you want to look that up on your phone.
What am I looking at? Oh, wait, Paul.
Can you get HPV from fellatio? Or throat cancer from fellatio?
I'm doing HPV caused throat cancer, and that was one of the first ones that popped up. I think I heard one of my friends, like one of their family members got it. And I was like, damn, that really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad when the doctor took a look at it finally because it was like stuck to the back of my throat. Uh, he was like, "Oh wow, that is big." It's like, "Oh, that's not what I want to hear."
Yeah. So it turns out it's one of the top reasons actually for throat cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't think all the
That's why you have to get the shot.
I'd maybe get that one now, but I also think I was too sexually active at a point to actually get the shot or whatever.
I heard you can kind of get any time, but that's where I'd say consult with your doctor.
You're not my doctor.
I'm not. But I probably still think it's a good idea. I can still have
Well,
an opinion.
when it was coming out, it was still kind of experimental, and a lot of people were having pretty significant vaccine side effects that were fairly common in comparison. And at the time that it came out, I was already having a bunch of chronic health issues, and I didn't exactly want to add fuel to any fire.
No, fuck that. Throw as much as you can at your immune system. Overwhelm it as much
I
as
had
possible.
a fungal infection in my liver.
I know, I'm joking.
My body's filtration system was completely compromised. I didn't feel like adding, vaccine stuff to it unless I really needed to get it. But
I see you
who knows? Here we are now. Maybe
I see
really
you
should
try
have
to
gotten
contract
it.
rabies at the same time.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, just start
Rabies?
fighting a bunch of raccoons. Like,
I know some of you are rabid, but I got you. You'd have a better chance fighting squirrels and getting rabies from them, or like going to the East Coast and trying to like eat bats.
well, that actually bats are one of the worst. But I heard squirrels can't get rabies. I want to look that up.
I think they can carry it because you can definitely get rabies from a squirrel. Foxes are another one. I imagine coyotes too, but coyotes are people are
Okay,
a
that's
little
totally wrong.
less
Yeah,
like,
it turns out basically any animals. It's just rare in squirrels.
what I think it is some animals like squirrels is they can be carriers for it, but they don't necessarily exhibit too many symptoms of the disease.
Yeah, what's the animals with the highest
I think foxes. Foxes or bats.
rabies?
Are we just sitting here Googling facts?
Well, actually, I just want to look this up. It was bats, raccoons, skunks, foxes.
Is that the highest number that have rabies or the highest number that give people rabies? Because those are all like cute, furry woodland creatures that a lot of times they are wandering around during the day. They
Okay,
walk up to
it was
people.
reported cases for biting people. So not
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they walk up to people during the day and they're kind of acting all weird and like a little friendly-ish, but they're also kind of like smiling. And a lot of people that are, ignorant and uninformed walk up and they see like, oh my gosh, this cute little fox or this cute little skunk. I'm just snow whiting it today. It really wants to be part of my, woodland creature fairy tale. And they go and they, try and pet it or something, or they try and feed it and they like, and then they, have to get injected for rabies.
Yeah. Do you know rabies has like something like a 98% fatality rating if you like wait too long?
Yeah, it's super, super deadly. I've seen videos from, I think, India or maybe Pakistan.
Yeah.
Where it's still pretty prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like so far gone, some of these guys, they'll be trying to give them water.
Yeah.
And they'll just be videotaping them in this like super shoddy doctor's office, I guess. But it looks like a horse
place.
stall. Like they don't put the rabies patients in a nice place. Like they shove them in, I guess what we would consider like something you'd have for like a kennel for a dog in a veterinary office.
I'd probably say it might be a little bit better, but I don't know if it is better. Probably say in a parking spot outside the hospital.
No, because they're like fenced. They're a bite risk.
Well, I mean, I can understand that. I mean, they're not like zombies. If they were, they would come out because what ended up happening.
No, the doctor was like trying to give them water. And I was like, oh.
Well, you know why?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of their symptoms is
hydrophobia.
yeah, exactly. Because do you know how rabies kills you?
You die of fever, right, or dehydration.
Well, part of it, but it goes up your brain stem because it's a virus that attacks the nerves. Then it
Yeah.
goes all the way to your brain and then just starts killing everything inside of it.
Mm.
Like it starts killing all the nerves, which obviously just creates all the other symptoms that comes with it. But it's just really slow. That's why they're like, if you bite something, you can like, if you get treated within like a week, you'll end up being like fine.
Fascinating.
I think it's kind of cool.
We have diverted multiple times from the original point, tangentially speaking.
Bring it in. Bring it back.
Well, you started Googling different things. We took off. There were a couple other points I wanted to make. So, welcome back to the far side as we try and untangle ourselves from these tangents. Oh, come on. Get some fucking... hitting the Benjamin beforehand. That stuff just dries out the mouth, Ty.
Yeah.
So, as we sit in the same thing and then start trying to talk at the same time. No, hold on. Fucking wait. Wait! Like, share, comment, subscribe. For aggressively human content in an increasingly AI-filled internet. So, protests. A lot of just aggressive male energy. Some people I heard were talking about how, like, it was gnarlier in the last few days. The like kind of mini riot that happened when the LA Kings or the Dodgers, or what was it, the Lakers, recently won like some big like major league tournament thing. I don't know sports. And
it was probably the Dodgers.
No, but like I want to be factually accurate. There was a specific one when they rioted, and that was apparently gnarlier and crazier than the political stuff.
I see what you're saying.
I've heard some other stories where some people start popping off and doing things, looting or breaking windows or trying to loot, and then other people in the crowd come in and grab them. Just say, you're not doing this. You are not destroying these things. We actually have a political thing that we're trying to do. We have a message. And when I was at the front line with the what's they're called? It's the polices and the protesters. 4-1, easy. The police to the protesters, and then the police have like the mics, 40 mic. That's a 40mm grenade thing. They're kind of like at the ready. They have a line of police at this one spot that we're at, and some people wandering around were disabled. Some people were older. Some people were press. There was probably as many press as there were undercovers in this little crowd. There was maybe one guy that I think could have been undercover, maybe two. The rest, there was a couple Twitch streamers that were like actual Twitch streamers. Like he was like doing like fighty moves, trying to like make things go. And I was standing with my kind of back to the cops, just filming this one young lady who's probably like 26, 25, kind of like anarchist type, waving a big American flag. She was very impassioned, but it's like, it's funny to me how these idealists are kind of doing what they're doing. Like they're so idealistic about creating a utopia through whatever means that they feel, they got to try to persuade, they got to do all these things. Some people wearing the masks and, covering ears, leaving only eyes, sometimes wearing glasses on top of that, walking around, passing out Yeah, I have some leg space, dude. I'm stretching out all your long legs all over the place. Come on, it's gross. Um, the the they kind of drew all the protesters to City Hall over time, and like the entire curfew area where a lot of this was going down. I mean, I drove around. It was so filled with police that it was kind of insane. My GPS was not working at all, I think, because of all the cop cars. Potentially whatever surveillance stuff they'd been rolling out, trying to like get people. Um, but it was just all in all like a very weird. It feels to me that the protests in LA and some of these other places is almost like a controlled burping of political frustration amongst people. Like in some way it is kind of, I don't want to say engineered, but like if you're fermenting something, you have to burp it occasionally, or you have to have some system for gas to escape, or else the entire container is going to explode eventually under the force of the gas that is coming off from the fermenting process.
Yeah.
For the United States, we have to create a population of people that is ready to fight and potentially die in a war for the United States at all times. That's why we're constantly harping on like, the health or fitness of draft age males. That always comes back once every few years when we talk about like how heavy or obese or mentally ill or people are, or the bone density problem that's happening with Gen Z. So all these things that turn out not to be such a big deal, but they kind of reinforce in the cultural consciousness, hey, if you're a draft age male, like this is a thing that could potentially be in your future. I do think it's why Kamala lost to, partly, Kamala lost to Donald Trump. You could go see the memes and type in hashtag World War III memes to Instagram or anything. Go back to when the election was happening. All these young guys were memeing something about like, oh, well, Kamala Harris is going to send me to World War III. Like, oh no, this sucks. I'm going to get drafted. You weren't seeing that so much for Donald Trump. Even people who hated him, they had different reasons to hate him and to make memes about him for whatever reason. But for a lot of young men, they just had a very innate gut feeling that Kamala Harris was going to draft them into World War III. And so they voted against her. And I think it had far less to do with any kind of shift to the right or left, and it just had to do with basic self-preservation. Combined with one thing I have noticed with the protests, because there's an inherent like ethnic, racial undertone to the entire situation, there's a lot of people being quick to other each other, and it's sort of like, don't get in the way of Los Angelinos traffic. Like their commute already sucks, and now they have to root around your protest.
Yeah.
You have just created someone who does not care about your protest at all. And if anything, they now hate you, and they hate what you're protesting about. Maybe not on some active level where they're going to do anything, but they're not going to go out of their way to help you in any capacity because they're just like, this is so fucking frustrating.
Well, what they really should be doing is like organizing these protests and marches, but they should be wearing like their Sunday best in a sense. Like wear nice clothes, be as peaceful as humanly possible. I think I always saw a headline for a study where it was like they say that peaceful protests are twice as effective at getting things done versus violent ones.
Yeah, because it's very easy to turn you into a
public enemy number one.
Well, a hooligan, a vandal, like just some barbarian running around in the streets that doesn't need to be taken seriously because you're acting savage in a civilized setting. So you have all this disaffected, like aggressive energy that people have, especially young people, especially ones that maybe aren't in the best situation and would definitely be drafted first. Like a lot of these young You could say like it probably starts hitting you when you're like 16, 17, and then up to like 26. But
Yeah.
then I think you feel it up until you're about 35, maybe 40. But I think between 35 and 40, there's part of you that's like, I hope they take me. Like, I hope it'll leave me out of the game.
Okay.
I have too many stomach issues. I don't think they'd take me at all. Unless they knew, like, oh, it's real dire. I'd like to think I'd become an intelligence analyst, but I'd probably just be stuck in a cubicle somewhere driving fucking, I don't know, wireless trucks.
Logistics. I mean, hey, if you're doing that sort of thing, you might still
Like
see
to
some
think I'm into
action.
propaganda.
Yeah, I think.
Got a good enough jawline to make some great propaganda for the American state, I think, at least.
Yeah, well, I think Ukraine you recruited all the way up to 45.
Well, yeah, because they absolutely needed people, and they've got volunteers that are even older.
Now,
So,
I'm not saying all those guys are probably at the front, but some of them might be, and some of them might have ended up being like logistics or like truck, movement back and forth or something, which still means they're in harm's way.
yeah. So, there is a lot of um, like going back to my controlled burping
Yeah,
thing. There's a lot of like it just felt like a purposefully contained situation for people to pop off within. And
yeah,
then okay, we're going to stop you at 8. And they were pretty serious. I think they did arrest some folks. But they also didn't arrest right at 8. I skedaddled sometime around like 8:15, 8:20. I was like, yeah, I've waited enough. It's not worth getting arrested. And some of the people that would have been considered like agent provocateurs or Antifa or whatever, just basically tall, skinny, I'm guessing kids somewhere between like 18 and, probably some 17-year-olds to like, you know, late 20s, maybe even early 30s. But walking around, they did assume, I think, I was an undercover because I wasn't like, yay, rah, rah, rah. But I didn't want to ruin my audio on the GoPro footage. You know how it is.
yeah.
Uh, they were leaving, and they just had this like disappointed look in their eyes, like we didn't get the fight we want. Not enough people showed up willing to just like get arrested over this. And it's like, yeah, to your point, like getting arrested in this doesn't help your cause overall.
Mm-mm.
But there are statistics people are pointing out right now that Obama deported 2.5 million people. And I remember they had like the planes full of dudes that they were like, these guys are MS-13 and we're sending them back to El Salvador or Guatemala. And his actions like completely destabilized both of those countries.
Well, yeah, and Trump could do that on even a more harmful scale and disrupt ours more too. And I think with Obama, he was
But
more efficient
where
at getting ICE to focus on what it needed to, and it was so effective. Unfortunately, created a new crime situation.
well the question that was posed to me that I think is a good question is, and I was thinking about it too, because I remember reading about ICE protests like back in the newspaper when that was still relevant, that you would read, oh wow, like another ICE raid happened, and they took a bunch of people in LA or Orange County or San
Mm-hmm.
Diego and just showed up at a job site and were like, oh, you're gone. And they like I don't know if it's an element of social media mobilization that like the LA Scanner just released the stuff about the ICE raids in LA. There's this increased animosity politically towards Trump
Mm-hmm.
and ICE because it's like a safe other for people out here. Because they do stuff that hurts people and tears up families and stuff, but also people make decisions and they do things, and I don't know. I don't have a correct answer for a lot of this. It would be nice to see like I think mass amnesty in a few years. Just be like, hey, like if you've been here for 20 years and you've got your kids here and you've been paying taxes on your business and all these other things, like, all right, just come in here. We're not going to arrest you, like, but you do got to file on the system or something. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing that we push going forward, but we don't have so I guess that comes to it. We don't have the infrastructure. But then Palantir comes in. You have Trump and Elon fighting and having this epic billionaire power breakup. Elon's tweeting a bunch of crazy shit. Tweets, oh, DJT, you're part of the Epstein files. That's why they won't get released. And then he leaves. Trump's not saying a word. He's not like really bad mouthing him. It's like, oh yeah, we're still friends. So he's like, I don't know, hoping that Elon comes around again, I guess. And it just feels like Trump sending in the National Guard and the Marines is his way of trying to get one over on Gavin Newsom. Mm-hmm. Gavin Newsom's fighting back because he loves the attention. And I think he hates Donald Trump more than he hates, Democrats. I don't know. He seems like he hates people on levels that he doesn't really, love anyone. I don't know if he's capable of it. I could be wrong. But he seems like he's the sort of person that is mostly motivated by spite, hate, and self-aggrandizement.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see that. It's just, he just keeps chugging along that way. If swear people that are more vindictive just tend to go a lot longer than all the others. Because they're just a pain in the ass and they just continue to do that. But then their collapse is always so much bigger than everyone else's.
It's so satisfying. But they're like the same person.
Yeah.
Trump and him. Cool. So he swivel it around it, get it on your teeth. Yeah.
I got it. I have my water.
Yes.
Get some more in a second.
Yes. Yeah. Water helps. So you have dog is sleeping. Dog making dream noises. Very cute. You have DJT trying to sweep this all under the rug. You have a bunch of billionaires, I think, like the Walmart family, mm-hmm. helping to organize these protests. And they created the No Kings rally on the 14th because Trump is having a military parade, army parade on his birthday and the army's birthday.
Well, who's the most affected by his tariffs? Them. They order everything from overseas, so he just hurt them in the most. He hurt their bottom line, and that's what gets people like that to change. But go on, you were saying about the protests coming up?
Well, no, it's literally somehow funded or focused mm-hmm. or considerably steered by her. So it feels like there's this. It's almost like a less violent version of aristocrats fighting in 1800s Europe, 1700s Europe, where they had these mercenary armies and they would fight it out, but no one would really die that much because armor was super good, so people, still getting maimed and hurt and stuff. But it was, or maybe it was 1600s, but it was before the guns had come in, which had made your average soldier so much better. Mm-hmm. So you did have a lot of just mercenary guys that the whole thing was, hey, we're going to fight, but we're not really going to kill each other too much because we might be on the same side as each other one of these days.
Yeah.
Like these Venetian nobles fighting with the Milanese mm-hmm. nobles or whatever. And it's just, they're doing that right now, but with people on the ground politically. Mm-hmm. I think they've always kind of done that. I don't know if it's the internet makes it so much more apparent or so many more people are focused on the problem and we're ignoring traditional media to figure it out for us. COVID's definitely still got a lingering hangover in the public trust.
Yeah.
In terms of journalistic credibility. There were people streaming out at the little protest line to give their own accounting. Some were doing it in Spanish. I think there was one person doing it in Vietnamese. There was two, I think they were French or maybe Flemish. It was one of the languages, but I cannot remember, I couldn't really hear the words, but it didn't have a French cadence.
This was a reporter?
Yeah, it was two women.
Could have been French-Canadian.
Could have been French-Canadian. They seemed very nice, so I don't know if that carries over with French Canadians, but I know it carries over with Canadians. Though the Canadians, fun fact, they did some of the first war crimes.
I think every country's person has committed war crimes for a long time. It can't. But what somehow gives them the first war? Is the first war crime after the Geneva Convention?
I can't remember, but it was something to do with trench shotguns and cans of beans. We'd have to look that one up, and we could talk about it.
That sounds like something like the Americans did too, because the Americans brought shotguns because they're like, well, you guys are going to trench, why not just shoot something that sprays the entire thing?
Well, yeah, but the Canadians took it and ran with it, and they did some other things that made it apparently worse.
Just like their second other war crime,
Yeah,
putting vinegar on French fries.
Precisely. So everything about it feels like an experiment. It just feels off and weird, and it's hard to know if that's just tons of people coming together all at once, or if it's some focused effort by billionaires, multimillionaires with their interests, and then activist groups with their interest, and then freedom fighters and people that have been directly affected by this with their family members that are out there protesting, combined with a bunch of young dudes that are just like, it's something to do, it's something to cause chaos. But I also think you have a group of young men that were too young to participate in the Summer of Love riots and protests. So they kind of are looking at this like, now's my chance.
Yeah.
Like, now's my opportunity to fuck shit up too. But also to like meet some hot hippie chicks that are like for the cause.
Yeah, you can
Like,
offer all the above too.
It's a third space.
Yeah, doesn't
it
sound a lot more romantic and cool if someone came up to you and was like, "Hey,
where'd you meet your wife? Where'd you meet your your novia?"
At a riot. It was great.
Yeah, dude.
Which riot? Oh, just the ice riots. Oh,
yeah, I met her at the ice riots. Like, we were protesting. Fuck those, chinga la migra.
Yeah, there you go.
Chinga la migra. So yeah, and Sam Tripoli, who's a comedian, was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about a podcast that Sam Tripoli had done with another woman, talking about the trajectory of woke culture. Because, that's been Joe Rogan's favorite talking point for like 6 or 7 years, I think.
He loves talking about how he wishes everything was less woke and less canceled.
It's like, dude, you do have the biggest podcast. I think everyone's a little tired of hearing it.
It's also, if you're one of the number one podcasts, are you really getting canceled? Are you really, you can, but I feel that's just how like Gen X and some of the boomers above you is like, let me just complain about wokeness. You're just like, yes. Every time I hear that, I'm like, you're just complaining about young people. They just gave it a better label.
There is some of that, but I think wokeness has an element of those dirty commies.
Mm-hmm.
Like those long-haired hippie kids.
Oh, yeah.
Those dirty hipsters. But there's not a... The social media bonding has changed things a lot.
Yeah.
Quit staring at me so much with such intensity. You're throwing me off. Like, look away for a second. You're just like trying hard to stay awake. We can end things soon so that you can go to bed. Bye.
No, we're good. I was just, I was joking. I was actually just, for a minute, I was just zoning out, but it happened to be like right on your left ear.
Yeah.
And then that just probably looks like I was just staring dead into your eyes.
Yeah, it was slightly uncomfortable. Mostly because it was like you were looking through me, not at me, but you were intensely staring at me.
What's actually worse was it was probably just like fading out, and I was just like, I wasn't looking through you, I was looking before you, but with like no focus.
Yes. So Sam Tripoli was talking about this woman he had on his podcast to Joe Rogan loving anti-woke stuff. Tripoli says, you can look this video up if you happen to be in the audience, just, maybe wait until after the pod. Have it queued up in your YouTube for the next. So he says that this woman had been speaking to some people in intelligence. They had said that the woke culture like cultural push was on its way out. It was gonna be replaced with like um, an immigration push.
Yeah.
Like everyone kind of loving immigration and immigration becoming a bigger push into the country, as well as people kind of more openly talking about illegal immigrants or undocumented people, whatever, migrants. There's a lot of different words that get thrown around. I don't know what's exactly politically correct, or because the new talking point right now is like, no one's illegal on stolen land, or they're not illegal. It's a civil infraction. You can't do this. So it's a lot of people that I think are more angry and impassioned than they are capable of spending a bunch of time researching the laws, and by a bunch of time I mean a Google search, because your first infraction is, according to like the U.S. Penal Code or the U.S. laws, is potentially a civil infraction, but it could be a finable offense. It could also be punishable by jail time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends like what you're actually doing. If you're just like unlawfully protesting, they're going to take like they don't say you unlawfully protest.
There's no illegal.
They just say you were trespassing
protesting.
or creating like disorderly conduct or something like that. And then if you're being violent, they're just like, well, you property damage.
I think these guys are worried about like some kind of facial recognition going on that profiles them, and then all of a sudden like ICE shows up at their house if they show up at a protest.
Oh, 100%. That's what a lot of people fear with this. With some of the way that the federal government's going, where they're like, hey, we're gonna have AI, facial recognition, drones that are buzzing around, just like taking facial recognition and body recognition of people.
But like that's already gonna happen.
Oh, it's happening right now. That's what I'm saying.
That's I think why the protests got kind of like popped off.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you can inherently. But he also, back in 2003, Sam Tripoli said that there were going to be like immigration riots essentially. And when you think back to the last 10 years of Hollywood, there was a big push in, say, Marvel and DC and a lot of other big movies to have kind of a woke undertone or a woke theme. I can't remember what year exactly, but it was sometime in the 70s. The CIA got into American entertainment, and a couple other, three-letter agencies went along with them to put in American ideals and American propaganda within our entertainment and our Hollywood sphere. That has morphed over time into video games, and where we're at now, also social media. There's plenty of social media influencers that are literally intelligence, counterintelligence, army intelligence, navy intelligence, whatever, former special forces that have turned to do their own thing, partly because it is lucrative. People are interested in that stuff, but it's also a way to push, I guess kind of an American agenda in the cyber electronic propaganda war that's going on, the true war of hearts and minds. Then you have
you had G.I. Joe, Call of Duty, all those different stuff coming out.
The video games, yeah.
But you were saying?
Oh, I lost my place.
So yeah, we were going G.I. Joe's. It's like the CIA, the three-letter propagandas. We're going through...
Oh, yeah. Woke push through the video games and all that stuff. And it seems like it kind of fell off. Like a lot of the woke video games that they tried to publish were just objectively bad video games. So they all failed.
That's usually how
some of the
get started.
Most spectacular failures in entertainment history. Like Concord, $77 million. Concord?
I wouldn't know.
Okay. But it was some massive failure. Complete flop.
Video game? I mean, to be fair, they do better when they find a small organization and pump that one up. But I mean, they probably do some of the stuff with who knows, War Thunder or G.I. Joe or some of those in the past, and as they move forward, you're saying?
Well, to your point there, I think they go and they elevate social media people. That's how they do it. You don't necessarily need to create people. I'm
Yeah,
sure the army and whomever, like they have people that are kind of planted in there via intelligence or via whatever. Uh, but I also think you can just through the algorithm like tweak and elevate certain hashtags or people profiles and just kind of give it a bit of a raise because they're pushing an American ideal. Like that's one way that they kind of rig the propaganda. So you have this failure of the woke, partly because people were just tired of it, but also it seems that people like they saw through the pandering. They kind of realized that there would be a certain point at which people would kind of see through the facade. Everything would feel kind of hollow and fake. You would
yeah,
have your ideologues that are with the cause and are not going to be swayed by a movie necessarily, or they're not going to be overly persuaded by a video game. They are that way. That's their political lean.
yeah,
Uh, then you just substitute it with, hey, the next hill that we have to die on, the symbol of oppression is Palestine right now in the cultural consciousness, especially with young people. Palestine being a symbol of oppression and colonialization worldwide, particularly here in America. And that cause has been identified heavily with other causes like this one here.
yeah,
This one here gets viewed then also through that colonial antagonistic lens
hmm
by people inherently.
yeah,
It gets seen less as, oh, you know, we're protesting like this, but it's like specifically like fuck ICE, like we're protesting against this specific, you know, evil Sith Gestapo entity. You have people on social media talking all about how ICE is like the Gestapo, and they are genuinely doing this. This is not like content that they're just trying to push out. Like they truly believe that ICE is like Gestapo, and they create a bunch
yeah.
of comparisons between the two. I don't think all of them are inherently unfair, but there are also not inherently fair.
Yeah.
The Gestapo was disappearing people to death camps.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Gestapo, the KGB, with the VKSD,
Yeah, the secret police.
basically.
China's whatever China had, I can't remember.
They still basically have their secret police, but I forget what it's called. It might
Back
actually
in
just
the
be called that. Oh, the
Mossack days.
Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, there was a specific name for them. Cannot remember.
It might have been some. I think it was something with the students.
Gotcha. But it is interesting to see that a comedian of all people who had spoken to a woman who had talked to some intelligence people. I think the woman is an author. I think it was Annie Lieberman. I might be getting her last name wrong, but she wrote that like UFO and Roswell book that you got me many years ago.
Oh, I thought it probably looked really interesting, and I think
It
about
was.
the back. Yeah,
It was actually really interesting.
nice. I'm glad you did well with that one.
Yes, but she has spoken with a lot of intelligence people to write a book about assassins. Another book I read, great book. It kind of it toes the line between stuff that feels like fiction, but is potentially not fiction because it's coming from sources that she has.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting to read, but the way that people employ intelligence to dictate stuff ramped up significantly in the COVID times. I think a lot of programs were just kind of run. And then here we are with one of the outcomes, which is this. They realized, oh, we can create these like burping situations where people let it out on the streets and they take out other people and they create kind of a crab in the bucket mentality. If people can keep it in line, great, and you know, they don't get crazy with it and they continue at peace, it's much more powerful. But yeah, it's like they know, hey, we got to do this, or else they're organized into an Occupy Wall Street movement again. There's something therein where they realize specifically who is screwing them over. However, the Luigi Mangione situation
Mm-hmm.
certainly has a lot of CEOs not like they scrub themselves off the internet and they have realized, oh, we have to uh, we have to take more of an active hand in influencing American politics and American like cultural shifts and where people are at,
Yeah.
uh, or they might come for us.
Well, to be fair, to be fair, it's really nothing. It's agree with your points, and I also take it a step further. I think there already is some overreach happening right now to say we're going to be tough on all of this, but I think it could eventually have the opposite effect. But that could also just lead to someone then constantly pushing harder and harder treatment until maybe people just get entirely sick of it, or the whole situation just gets worse.
Oh, it's definitely going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
You have this No Kings thing going on. I guarantee that will end in some level of violence. I'm surprised people haven't been shot and killed yet.
I think it's been a lot of restraint on both sides. I would say I know there were some people who were getting like police who were getting like rocks and bricks thrown at them, and
People
they did
shooting off fireworks.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair, they did shoot off. Have you seen the rubber bullets they shoot?
Yeah, they look pretty nasty.
Yeah, so I'm assuming getting hit by one of those is like, fuck.
Yeah, walking up to the line where like the police are, just kind of with the video, and they, like get a bit close, and you're like, I don't think I'm gonna go any farther. Just gonna chill here, and you just feel you kind of like hairs stand up.
Yeah.
It's not in the same way with like guns, because when you're approaching people with the guns, you're just kind of like, that's gonna happen if I do some sketchy, stupid shit, then yes, I'm gonna get shot. But until then, I'm probably not gonna get shot. With the 40 mics in the situation with the protests, they are happy with that trigger.
Well,
so like,
because they know it's
plenty
not
of
going to kill
videos-
you, but they know it's going to hurt you like fuck. So it's a lot more easier to use. When you're actually pulling the bullet, there's so many bigger implications.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot more restraint. But with the 40 mics, there's certainly like, you're kind of like, I feel like there is a point
Yeah.
at which they will just shoot me if I get too close. Unambiguous line where they're like, nope, we will if you get too close to us right now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't feel like eating a 40 mic to like test the cops' boundaries. But it's funny because the line that they had that was right across from the protesters and the police line looked like a lot of younger green officers.
Oh, yeah, throw the little shitheads
The
in
newbies?
the front. Yeah, but they're also young, so they can deal with all the physical.
But they're
punishment.
marching all, and it's like, oh, well and good. But then, like, I walked around the sides, and like that's where they had all the veteran officers or the guys and gals with military experience. Yeah, they were just hanging out. Like, I'm so tired.
Well, yeah,
I'm on whatever overtime. You almost feel for it, but at the same time, you're kind of like, yeah, dude, you're getting paid. Like, I feel bad for you, not at all.
Well, did you hear what happened
Also,
with the National Guard guys?
You know,
They were like
fuck
cutting.
us.
No, they were like cutting some of their benefits because they were like, while they were deploying stuff, they're making sure to rotate them at like certain times so certain other benefits wouldn't kick in or something like that, or like certain overtime pay. And they're like, oh, we're not having them stay with like real stuff. They're going to be like just in this building. They just pass out on the floor. So some of them are just pissed off. Just like, bro, this fucking sucks in all levels.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of the Marines
it was not going to be a good detail.
No,
the Marines can't do anything.
No, they're just protecting federal buildings. So they're just doing what Marines do, eating crayons.
That is exactly what Marines do.
Yeah.
That and they
I support
try
our
not
troops.
to be too gay with each other.
You're thinking the Navy. I support our troops.
I support your troops too.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. And thank you for your service if you happen to be a military veteran in our chat. Au revoir. Bon voyage. to your next deployment to Iran, as it's getting the shit bombed out of it by Israel right now. Oh, pretty bad. Spicy.
Yeah.
Spicy stuff popping off in the Middle East as we speak. But that's another reason I think that the riots are taking up so much of the American airspace. Not the protest necessarily, but the actual riot part of the protest.
Yeah.
You know, the 90 whatever.
What's also the most
percent,
entertaining
and
is
then
the
10%.
sex. Action is sexy.
Oh yeah, Waymo. Dude, I think Waymo is also behind this. How many more people know Waymo than they did a week ago? Millions. Absolutely millions of people know Waymo today compared to 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know they had self-driving taxis in LA.
Yeah, they've been around for a couple months at least.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's one right around the corner from my dentist.
That means they're on their way down south soon.
Yeah, I don't know if they will make it all the way down to where we are just yet, because we have too many high-speed areas.
Are they only in like low speed, like 30, 40 miles per hour?
It seems like they kind of have a top out speed of like 40 miles an hour. They're not going in areas where they're going much above like 45.
Okay, so they can't take the freeways or anything like that.
They cannot take freeways yet, and I don't know if they can take highways yet unless they're in a low speed area of the highway.
Yeah, that would make sense, but...
Yeah, fiery Waymos. Ultimate marketing practice, as everyone debates like, oh, you know, it's mostly peaceful protests, and then the photo that everyone goes to show that this is not a peaceful protest is a guy standing on top of a fiery Waymo waving a Mexican flag. That is the ultimate viral marketing campaign you could ask for.
It's a great one.
Trump and Newsom are jealous of the amount of press that Waymo's getting out of this. That's why they keep fighting. And I think, you know, Trump's
they're just having a dig swing
I also think Trump is a little frustrated with the Elon stuff, but he's like, Elon's a little crazy. He's going through a drug problem. He's got...
Did you see that
he's got
Asperger's? Apologized?
A little bit. He's got a soft spot for like his friends with addiction problems that are seeking to work on it. But I think he is taking all of his animosity, his frustration over his brief fallout with Elon on Newsom.
Oh, he just needs to take him. But Newsom, I think what Trump likes is that Newsom can kind of take it and give a little bit back.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think Trump likes anyone who's too weak or shows their belly too quickly. He likes someone he can kind of fight with and who eventually will be subdued. That's always Trump's thing. Is like he wants to eventually make you his bitch, but if you do it right away, then he's like, fuck you.
I saw political campaign ads on Instagram the other day for Gavin Newsom. I think it was yesterday. I took a screenshot.
Yeah.
He
wants to run for president.
Gavin Newsom, you know, needs your support right now. And then it ended up getting age restricted and a bunch of other things because I had said something in my story, which I have a private Instagram. Mm-hmm. So that my specific story got age restricted. It's like, that's kind of wild. That is kind of wild. Because, yeah, you know, they're everywhere. They're watching. They're paying attention. They're probably sifting an AI through this podcast to make sure that they don't know too much about my burping theory of the American populace that they are keeping on edge to fight in whatever World War III may be looming in our near future.
And then it responded. It'll happen. Right before World War III happens, by the dip.
By the dip. Any closing remarks? You're pretty sleepy, I can tell.
Well, I was gonna say for the far side, should we give like a far side opinion on something?
What tale from the far side do you have for the audience, Mr. Tyler?
I think the farthest side opinion I'd have is the cutest animal I think I could eat would be a guinea pig.
Oh, I've eaten cuy.
Yeah.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
It might have just been the place I ate it, though, but it was really tasty.
Yeah. What was the cutest animal you would eat? And by the way, farm animals already are pretty damn cute.
I mean, I've eaten like meat rabbit before.
Like rabbit.
No, like meat bunny. Like they're like bunny rabbits. They're big fat bunny rabbits
Oh yeah, I know what you
that
mean.
they raise for meat.
No, I'm saying what you have done, but what would be the cutest animal you think you could eat?
Um, I don't know. Like I could eat a lot of cute animals. I'm not like picky about it. I'd eat an axolotl. I
Is that
like
the little salamander?
yeah, and they're super endangered.
Would you be one of those people that put the little thing over their head and eat that like little like bird, like canary bird in shame or something?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
Fuck it.
There you go. All right, what's yours?
What I am seeing far upon my eyes that I see is that the U.S. is going to kind of just become like a Gotham City nation over the next 5 to 10 years as people push back in whatever way they can against Trump, as a lot of people realize that protest is not as effective as they would like, and they are going to take matters in their own hands. They are going to do crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just going to happen in the near future. Um, Especially with the Antifa types or people that are, you know, the far extreme right, far extreme left. Like you got anarchists, accelerationists, all these people who I think the main character effect of video games and social media was something that they put in there to try and, uh, make sure that people really like, enjoy the entertainment, but also that people like really invest in themselves.
Yeah.
So that when war comes, they're like, oh, hey, we got a bunch of people that think they're kind of like the main character of this and that they have a bit of plot armor and that they've invested time and energy into becoming, bigger, better, whatever. But now here they are, like, staring down the barrel of, oh, well, this is not the person I want to send me to a war, so I'm going to go to war with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a lot of, like, we're going to war energy that I've noticed in the last few days, couple weeks even. So, in terms of a far prediction, that is it. That, like, the U.S. is going to become a little bit more Gotham City over time, especially if we have these, quote, armed or espionage spies, these young military-aged men from different countries. But also, dude, like, if I was a young man living in India, they just got rid of arranged marriage. I might be screwed for meeting a match. Like, I might come to America, especially if I'm, like, a poor, uneducated dude, but with the stories of the American dream, which pervade a country that has, like, a pretty rigorous class system, say, like, China, that, you look at that and the one-child policy that has gone there. What's the flip? Are those people, some of them, going to be like the Nisei of the Japanese regiment in World War II, where they were like first generation American, so they were half Japanese, half American, a lot of them, or Japanese parents, but they were born in America, grew up American, and then they went and fought in World War II, became one of the most decorated groups of soldiers in all of World War II.
Yeah.
And are we going to have our own version of that? Maybe.
Probably not with this administration.
A bunch of like Russian dudes go into the like CIA and they're like, we want to be part of your meme department. You have very bad meme department. We really need to upgrade your meme department and make it better. Let us get some of these very attractive female army cadets, these pretty ladies, these how you say soldiers and sailors. So we get them out here, and especially the ones with the big old dump truck asses, the really big ones. And I'm somehow turning into, hey, Habibi.
Yeah.
Habibi, please. We get the ladies with the big fat booties, and we have them dancing on the TikTok. And I think there are a lot of young men, because recruitment numbers are up, that have been very much persuaded by the honeypots that are like, hey, Luhan, and others. Hey, Luhan, I believe, is Army intelligence. So it reminds me of that, the original thirst trap, which was, I think, the Spartan women that would taunt the young men to like get better at battle so that they could win great deeds, so that they could win their hand in marriage one of the days. But fast forward to World War, I think it was one, I think it might have even been a young Churchill was the one who like implemented this idea of having young women go around and mock or try and flirt with young men into getting them to join the army and the military and then go fight in the trenches.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the modern version of it.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what thought traps are there to get the men to join the army.
So that's the thing, Gotham City, because there's a lot of guys that are still getting hit with those thirst traps, but they're like, I don't want to join the army, but I still want to be like, they're thinking like ready for whatever this thing that I'm being prepared for is, and you know they got to find that outlet.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be seeing what the psychological programming of an entire generation raised with computers looks like, and I think it's going to be fucking weird.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Yeah. We're already seeing how weird it is with the LA riots and a little bit with the not the Me Too, that was too long ago, but with the BLM protests and riots. But like where we're really seeing it right now is with these ICE protests and these ICE riots, and with this No Kings protest that's coming up. I guarantee there's going to be some wild, crazy shit going on after hours with some people and police or some people and whatever. Given the scope and the amount of people that are looking at LA and are like young dudes looking at young dudes doing crazy shit and going, fuck, I want to do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like, gonna be wild.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be wild. Well, the millennials are too tired, so let's figure out how the Gen Z is gonna come around.
Might go. There were plenty of millennials there, but also millennials have jobs at this point, responsibilities and things that they can't just like take a bunch of time out to protest unless they are in a position in which they can take the time out to protest.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hinting at, but I meant the generation in general, and also millennials have been hit pretty hard in multiple ways too. Like
we did the original like protest with Occupy Wall Street and a few other things in kind of the digital modern age space.
Yeah,
and we all just saw like how performative they were, and how
it got a lot of backing though when you think about going back to the Occupy Wall Street stuff.
It got backing for sure, but it was so easy to inevitably squash it and disperse it and devalue the opinions that people had about it coming together and trying to go after this. There was also a movement with that to give tents to the homeless so that they could join the Occupy Wall Street ranks. And I think as a means of class warfare, this people that say run the actual laws and control the cities and the council people said, hey, yeah, we want these tents. Like let's give a lot of people tents and let's start raising this tent thing because this is going to make people frustrated. And if we can make them constantly emotionally frustrated on a deep subconscious level, we can focus that more effectively than if they're angry at a conscious level.
Well, yeah, because
you're like knee-jerk emotional reaction. People are being taken away from their families. They're being torn apart. Like that's visceral. That's human.
Oh yeah, of course.
To feel something about that. And maybe you might feel like, well, they're illegal, so like, hey, fuck them, you know? Or you feel like, hey, that's sad. But like, very few people that aren't like potentially problematic, I guess, are going to feel one thing or the other. The unproblematic people are going to be in the middle where they're like, I don't know, I don't feel much about anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, too, I don't think majority of people are not wanting someone to be, like, some families to be torn apart or for people who are hardworking here, you know, legally or illegal but are, you know, contributing to society. What they really want is the bad actors to go away immediately and there to be a better system to obviously let people in. And there are some who just say, I want them all gone.
Well, I think we're having, since COVID, a mass exposure of a lot of different things, whether that be government corruption, police corruption, activist corruption.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of, say, like the BLM.
Yeah.
And what happened with like that $77 million mansion or whatever that they bought that was like...
Not familiar. What's that one about?
Oh, so the people that got all the money, they bought some like insanely expensive mansion. I cannot remember the exact dollar amount.
Are you talking BLM or?
Yeah, it was considered fraud.
Yeah. Some of the leaders of it were actually
so now it's Black Voters Matter is the organization. So you can look at some of these activist organizations that are going to be contributing to the No Kings thing, and you're like, oh, you're like absolutely this kind of performative shill. Like you're a business masquerading as a charitable, nonprofit organization.
Well, this has been the real trouble with all those organizations is they're not really being led by, like, they are being led, obviously every organization is usually led by people, but they don't have a strong leader that is a face and a voice that like other past civil rights movements have. In the last like
It's
10
too
years,
decentralized, and I think that makes it easy to take advantage of.
Exactly. And yeah, you got to think about it. In the last like 10 years, I can't name a single like civil rights leader where you could easily go back 20 or 30 years and be like, okay, you can at least maybe name one or two, and then if you go back even farther, you can just keep naming more and more.
Are you trying to say like what's our version of Martin Luther King?
Maybe like
or like our version of Malcolm X,
or like Harvey Milk, or I should be better. There's a few more.
Greta Thunberg.
I would say yes, but I guess I'm more focused on an American.
I think part of the issue is America being what it is those people saw the civil rights leaders and they go, oh, I have to get into politics.
Mm-hmm.
And those people that would be civil rights leaders, Ted, don't play with that stuff on the back. That's changing the settings on your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, now it's all fucky.
I didn't touch.
Oh, well.
I didn't touch anything. I just... Okay.
Yeah, you did. No, it sounds better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
So... The fidgeter, what we will have to give him his space. But we did hear, and this is another thing that goes to kind of the intelligence quality of it, but also the mass exposure of like the immigration process.
Mm-hmm.
And what illegal immigrants are like in a full spectrum representation, combined with the social media fallout of you can see the people that are directly impacted by a person who's been here for a long time being deported, what their actual criminal record is. You can make kind of the distinction for yourself versus just kind of reading, oh, X amount of people were just deported by ICE. That sucks. Moving on. So you're kind of forced to like have greater empathy for people, or you're more forced to engage in an echo chamber that is reinforcing the narrative that other people want you to have about this thing.
Yeah.
Say a lot of people on the right that are very happy to see kind of an authoritarian crackdown of all this, combined with all the people on the left who are seeing Gavin Newsom get up and talk about illegal immigrants picking our food and illegal immigrants working in these different places as being a big win for them and illegal immigrants, that like it's becoming kind of a natural conversation that these people are such like an integral part of very many economies. Problematic part because it does lower how much people are paying their employees. It creates a lot of competition that I think is healthy for class warfare. If you have a constant stream of illegal people coming in to take labor from your actual lower class, it means that they're less likely to like build their own lives up through hard work, and that they're more likely to rely on the state and or substances to kind of carry them through it.
Yeah, and
relatively purposeless existence.
Well, I guess I could also follow up, and beautiful, by the way, but But what about some of the immigrants who are doing some of the jobs like literally no one else wants, like picking strawberries or like doing like the farm
Well,
labor and all
that's
that?
where I do think like mass amnesty
Mm-hmm.
is probably just. I mean, yeah, it's a very compassionate thing, but I think it's also the most practical. If you're a person that you can like compile evidence of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
you can get witness testimony from maybe your employer.
Yeah.
You know, that they can vouch and say, yeah, this person has. I'm sure that makes it open for corruption and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. But you're a person that's been paying taxes, or you know, you have your family here,
Mm-hmm.
and they're documented, and it's a whole thing that the government has to go through and just go, hey, like we will just give you citizenship. You're part of American things. Don't fuck it up, or we'll deport you, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe give them a, you know, I don't want to say like a second class citizen thing, but like give them full citizenship, but also, you know, keep keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I get
Like
that.
if they start pulling some wacky shit, like, you know, kind of like you would any recent immigrant
Mm-hmm.
or
Well, anywhere you go in the world, it's going to
visa
be pretty
holder.
obvious, and I would say America is actually one of the higher tolerances for this. Is like, look, you
Oh, much higher than a lot of other places.
exactly you have to.
Japan, it's hard to be an illegal immigrant in Japan because Japan's full of Japanese people and they look pretty specific. Like you stand out like a sore thumb no matter who you are.
I could see that, yeah, being in a place that's more homogeneous, but yeah. So
Tyler, it's not gay geniuses.
no, there you go. Yeah. So,
They're Japanese.
so yeah, I just lost my train of thought.
That was funny though. I thought
Yeah, it was.
that was a good one. It has been an hour and 20 minutes. We're asking a lot of our budding audience.
All right.
You have been wonderful to listen this long. If you have listened, if you have any comments, criticisms, preferably constructive, but if you feel like calling us shitty things, hey, that is your prerogative. We believe somewhat in free speech, unless you call me lame, and that hurts my feelings. But if you're going to do it in the comments. Increase our engagement, please. We might love you. I don't know who you are, so I'm just going to hope that you stay safe out there and that you stay scrappy and you, I don't want to say think for yourself, do your own research, like trust that other people are capable of doing their research, but just trust but verify that they're actual real sources. They're not AI, they're not bought and paid for, or if they have influences and bias, that they're fairly open with them the same way that YouTube is open with ads. That you know, you like to know if your comedy podcaster is actually sponsored by Zen, or if they're just constantly pushing Zins throughout their show because they're comedians that don't think too hard about it and go, oh yeah, the Zen is great. Like I love the Zen. You can talk about Zins for a minute. It's just like an easy bit of content that you have to generate throughout the week. I don't know. That said, good night, good luck, and wherever you are,
Please like and share and subscribe.
oh, that too, but wherever you are, be good to yourself. Peace.
Peace.